Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered The Tale of the Room for Rent, a Sam story about a ghost who tried to get revenge on the person he blamed for his death. Tonight's narrative, from Betty Ann, is about a teen who discovers that some comic books are more than just fiction. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 4, Episode 9, The Tale of the Ghastly Grinner. We open on Frank arriving at the ring while Gary tries to light the fire, to no avail because the logs are wet. Tucker is being useless, so he's being Tucker. Kiki pops up with 2 sticks and then starts to softly rub them together as though that's going to do something. She then claims that she needs paper. Frank sees some paper in Tucker's back pocket and grabs it, resulting in...
Hey, how about this?
No way!
Chill, it's a comic book.
It's not. It's a graphic novel.
The guy that has the book folded in half and carelessly stuffed in his back pocket doesn't get to wax intellectual about what's a comic book and what's a graphic novel. Anyway, Betty Ann arrives, grabbing the comic and saying that she can use it. She then gives the preamble to her story.
You ever wonder where they get the ideas for these things? Anchovy pizzas before bed? Gives me bad dreams.
And probably fishy sleep farts. Now, look, I know. I'm ruining the perfect vision that some of you had of Sam when you were crushing on her as a kid, but the reality of the situation is, you have anchovy pizza before bed, you have night gas, and it smells like fish. You're welcome. Betty Ann asks, what if comics are not made up, but a guidebook to another dimension? And then, the most supernatural thing to ever happen on the show outside of one of the tales occurs.
Whoa.
Look, I don't have time to unpack everything that was wrong with how she started that fire, but let's just say that Bear Grylls would be very disappointed. Or highly impressed.
No, you always see it on TV and it takes 30 seconds, but in reality I've spent over 12 hours before trying to make a fire.
Betty Ann's tale begins on a stormy night in my dream bedroom. Seriously, comic book stuff all over the walls and a pinball machine? Do you know how much a pinball machine would have cost back then to own, and he just has one in his room? I can't wait to meet this kid's yuppie parents. Who the f*** was that trailer trash couple? Anyway, we meet our main character, Ethan Wood, an aspiring comic book artist who's been getting a string of rejections. What are you, like 13? Look, I'm not going to say you suck or anything, but you're probably not as good as you think you are. When I was 10 or 11, I submitted a manuscript that I was pretty proud of to Random House Books. They very kindly sent a rejection letter that I was excited to receive at the time, but years later in high school, I looked back at that manuscript and discovered that it was 20 pages of copyright-infringing trash, where a 10-year-old Kryptonian named Super Kid battled Venom. Not even in the same comic book universe! And not Superboy, okay? I can hear your judgment. Superboy is Super Kid. No. Superboy was older than Super Kid, making them 2 clearly different characters. That's key for my legal defense in case DC ever sues. Anyway, my point is, you're young. You have time to practice and get better, and the successes will come.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
After going through all his rejections, Ethan has a mini freakout, tearing all of what I'm assuming is his artwork off the walls, in a scene that probably should have come with an epilepsy warning. In fact, this is that warning now for anyone who's sensitive to strobing light. Just close your eyes until you hear the sound of my voice again. After Ethan calms down, he finds another envelope and opens it to find...
Come to the grand opening of Comic Books, Inc.
I haven't seen an invitation this questionable since Karen and Billy were invited up to the toy factory in their apartment building in the Tale of the 13th Floor. Look at this thing! Did a 3rd grader make it in arts and crafts? The cardstock is crumpled like it was fished out of the trash, for crying out loud. There is no way Ethan is going to check this out.
Pass.
We cut to a little girl arriving at an empty comic book shop. No, wait, sorry, that's Ethan. That's Ethan. And before you get angry, I'm allowed to make that joke, because when I was a wee lad with petite features and long flowing locks, I was mistaken for a girl constantly. What can I say? I had the voice of Christian Slater, the hair of Jason David Frank, and the face of Jessica Biel. I was what you call a triple threat.
Yeah, right, you're dreaming.
Anyway, as Ethan walks through the store, we get visual references to The Tale of the Crimson Clown, The Tale of the Watcher's Woods, The Tale of the Bookish Babysitter, and The Tale of the Dark Dragon, before getting a mild jump scare.
What are you looking for, Cakes?
I'm sorry, what did you call him?
Come on, Cakes. Don't be shy.
As in baby cakes or sweet cakes? I am not comfortable with this grown woman's pet name for this child, regardless of whether she thinks it's a boy or a girl. Anyway, Ethan presents the homemade Valentine he received, and suddenly the cat caller's whole demeanor changes.
It's you.
Get out, Ethan! Get out right now!
He seems like a nutcase.
She demands to see Ethan's drawings. He tells her that he's not very good, but upon seeing his work, she says that he is on the level of...
Uncas.
Pardon?
Yeah, I'm with Ethan. Who?
Sylvester Uncas. Ever hear of the Ghastly Grinner?
You mean the Joker?
His mere laugh could reduce his victims to giggling idiots.
So, the Joker. Okay, DC, you need to send someone a cease and desist. Anyway, the shopkeeper says that Uncas was a genius, but, there's nothing spectacular about that cover art. She says that he found the Grinner so frightening that he only drew one issue and then disappeared. Frightening? Please, that thing couldn't even be scary on a kid's horror show.
Can't give him away.
She gives Ethan the comic book free of charge, and he thanks her, but she says that those thanks belong elsewhere.
Don't thank me, Cakes. Thank Sylvester Uncas.
Look, lady, I'm not joining your cult, and neither is Ethan here. Ethan? Okay, Ethan's a lost cause, but the rest of us are out.
You go first. No, after you. Not me.
We transition to Ethan's science class, where the teacher explodes a sausage in a microwave to provide an example of... Wait, what is he teaching them?
Microwaves.
The only person interested in the subject matter is Hooper Piccolero, a brainy little girl that the teacher seemingly hates. Ethan isn't paying attention to class at all, but is rather reading his new comic book while poorly disguising it. The teacher catches him, takes the book, and proves just how gangster teachers used to be.
You can't. It's one of a kind.
Correction. It's none of a kind.
When Ethan gets home, his parents tell him that they got a call from the school.
You said you were causing trouble in class again.
Wait, the trailer trashes are Ethan's parents? What the hell do they do for a living that they can both be home in the afternoon on a weekday and still afford pinball machines? Drugs? It's drugs, isn't it, Betty Ann?
Hey, I didn't say it.
After seeing his parents shovel popcorn near their mouths, Ethan makes himself a bag. Damn it. Now I want popcorn. Hold on. Oh, that's better. Oh, man. Don't question where I'm keeping the microwave out here. Ethan attempts to dry his comic book off in the microwave and receives a phone call while he's waiting. It's Hooper from school. Ethan isn't sure who she is at first, but she gives a description and says that she's a nerd. Ethan responds like a pro.
You're not a nerd. That's okay. I think a person should know what they are and work with it.
Huh. She seems like a very sensible android. I wonder if she's hoping to learn human emotions from Ethan. While they're talking, Ethan's mom goes into the kitchen.
John, I'm making pizza waffles. You want one?
This has me so torn. The half of me that's concerned about fire safety is screaming right now, but the half that has the controlling 51% stake in the company wants to know what a pizza waffle is and where I can get one right now.
Why is this happening? It's not real.
Anyway, the microwave explodes in a scene awkwardly intercut with Ethan on the phone.
I mean it. I think you're a really great artist.
Ethan rushes to investigate, calling out for his parents. His mom answers and says that everything is fine. Ethan pulls his comic book out of the microwave, which now has a big hole in it, but there's enough of the back cover to see an ad for both Ren and Stimpy and Are You Afraid of the Dark? Okay, let's dive into this. So, Betty Ann took the time to describe the advertisement on the back of this comic, meaning that in the real world of Are You Afraid of the Dark, Nickelodeon exists, as well as Are You Afraid of the Dark? What? Okay, I'm going to try to rationalize this. We don't see the kids' faces on the comic due to the hole in it, so I'm going to say that the show in-universe features different kids than our Midnight Society, and Gary got the idea for the group from watching that show. I mean, he can't be the only fan who's tried it. You know who you are. If this is the case, that means that later episodes that mention the Midnight Society dating back to Gary's grandfather are full of shit. As Ethan peers through the hole in the comic, he sees a person-shaped hole in the wall like he's in a Looney Tunes cartoon. I've seen plenty of comic book panels with heroes and villains bursting through walls, but never leaving a perfect silhouette behind. Think y'all got your mediums mixed up. Anyway, Ethan's mom approaches from behind, saying that he should open up a door to clear out some of the smoke, but when he turns to face her... Mrs. Wood, you've got a little... just a little... something... No, it's actually worse now. But you know what? I'm sure it'll be fine.
We're doomed.
Ethan runs to tell his dad what's going on, but makes a similar discovery. Ethan flees outside and runs into Hooper, who heard the explosion on the phone and came to check if everything was okay. Concerned for human safety, I see that Hooper's 3 laws of robotics operating system is functioning normally. Ethan explains that he thinks he brought the Ghastly Grinner to life and it got his parents. It's about this time that the kids see Hooper's parents show up at Ethan's house.
Betty, Phil, gosh, it's good to see you.
What the f*** is happening in this episode? Ethan and Hooper act like they barely know each other from school, but Ethan's parents greet hers like they're besties? Were that the case, these two would know each other very well. And why are these business-dressed people showing up out of the blue in the afternoon with a metal cooking pot? What's in the pot? Drugs? It's drugs, isn't it? Don't lie to me, Betty Ann.
What's the big deal?
Ethan's parents invite Hooper's parents inside to meet Uncle Bob. Ethan tells Hooper that he doesn't have an Uncle Bob, and the kids hop on a bus to go to the comic shop for some answers. While on the bus, they consult the comic to see that the events playing out in real life are depicted in the comic book with artwork that would never make it in a professional book. And then, as if all the previous episode references weren't enough, they decide to dust off a classic move from the tale of the Phantom Cab. The bus starts driving erratically until this happens. That is not how the emergency stop button works. It simply sends a signal to the dashboard to let the driver know to stop the bus. Do you know how f***ing dangerous it would be if buses just had easily accessible buttons that slammed on the brakes regardless of what the driver was doing? Anyway, the kids make it to the comic shop where Ethan asks why this is happening since it's not real, to which the shopkeeper replies,
Not if you believe in the Uncansian theory.
The Uncansian theory? This guy wrote one issue of a comic that never sold and then disappeared. There is no Uncansian theory.
Sylvester Uncas always said he was creating guidebooks to other worlds.
Oh, he always said that, did he? To who? Anyway, the shopkeeper, who is credited as Frankie, even though we've never gotten her name, explains that Uncas tried to stop the Grinner by killing him in the comic, but the Grinner got to him before he could finish it. We then get the reveal that Uncas is Frankie's father. Oh, how it all makes so much sense. The praise of his work, the Uncansian theory. She's just been dad bragging. Which, I completely get. My dad is way better than any of your dads. The guy built a race car from the ground up. He raced the thing. He was probably a calendar model in his youth. Now, I'm not saying that your dads suck, but my dad is the greatest. Calm down, ladies. He's married. Anyway, that's not the point, because I've forgotten the point. Frankie tells Ethan that she sent him the postcard created by a kindergartner and wants him to finish her father's work to stop the Grinner and bring her father back. Ethan asks how, and suddenly Hooper cuts in with
Microwaves.
Frankie says there's only one way to stop the Grinner, but she's cut short by Oh no, I'm so scared. I'll give the makeup department credit, but this guy's costume looks like they got it at a pop-up Halloween store. Anyway, the Grinner kidnaps Frankie and Ethan and Hooper flee to the school where Hooper has a plan to stop the Grinner using the microwave from their science class. While there, Ethan says that it might get dangerous and that Hooper should leave so she doesn't get hurt. Hooper says that if he's staying, she is too, but then their teen romance moment gets ruined when their teacher shows up.
This is no laughing matter, young man.
Ethan activates the microwave, but it doesn't work. The Grinner is about to have his way with Ethan when Hooper saves him by, slowly pushing him out of the way. The two kids flee back to the comic shop, where Hooper explains that she got it wrong. Microwaves are the answer, but they were using them incorrectly. She says that he needs to finish the drawings. He says that he's not good enough, but, I've seen the quality of the art in the book, and I think you probably are.
You're kidding.
Also, I'd like to point out this cool little moment. When they arrive at the comic shop, Hooper pulls some wadded up tissue out of her ears. Earlier at the school, when the Grinner showed up, we saw her look at the tissue, which clearly gave her the idea to plug her ears to avoid the Grinner's laugh. She's a smart robot. Anyway, she tries to inspire Ethan with a very empathetic, "Do it!" This motivates Ethan, and we get a montage. He's not so much drawing as he is inking, so I guess he's just a tracer.
Your mother's a tracer!
The Grinner shows up threatening Hooper, which results in one of the funniest lines of the episode.
What's the matter, kid? You don't like to laugh?
Sorry, I don't have much of a sense of humor.
Ethan finally finishes, and we get an epic comic book beatdown finale.
Getting out!
I'm with you, kid.
Let's go!
Come back here!
You're shitting me, right? We couldn't slap some purple tights on this kid and then show these two battle using some simple Batman 66 POW and BAP effects? That show used them for budgetary reasons, and you could have done the same here. Instead, we get one of the lamest finales in Are You Afraid of the Dark history shown to us in averagely done drawings. Why does everyone love this episode?
Oh, I don't always listen to what people say, Cakes.
Ethan defeats the Grinner, but finds himself trapped in the comic. The Grinner reappears, forcing Hooper to do the only sensible thing to save the day. Wait, what? He inked those in ink. You can't erase that. I don't care how comically sized your eraser is. Well, in this case, it works, freeing Ethan, Frankie, and Uncas, and Hooper finally figures out how to activate her emotions chip.
Hooper, you're laughing.
I guess I'm glad you're not dead.
Uncas presents Ethan with the pages he's finished for the comic, and the tale ends just as ridiculously as the rest of the episode. Ethan is now a comic book celebrity, signing copies of his signature comic, Ethan, and Hooper is now his publicist? ? While also being dressed just as goth as he is. Betty Ann, how did you come up with this whack-ass story? Drugs? It was drugs, wasn't it? Please tell me it was drugs so I don't lose any more faith in you as a storyteller.
You don't have to believe me.
The episode ends more quickly than most, with Gary barely tossing any water on the fire while everyone else starts to leave. Actually, no, that's every episode, isn't it?
No way!
Now for the review. I know I'm in the minority on this one, but I did not like this episode. Now look, I know we all watch this show with the nostalgia goggles on, which affects how we feel about it, but this is one of the episodes that I never saw as a kid, so I just didn't have that here. I found it annoying. Now, I will give it this credit. I do think it is superior to the god-awful Goosebumps comic book episode, Attack of the Mutant, but that's not a high bar to clear.
Come on, I'm a professional.
The settings were varied, but we don't spend much time in any one place. As someone who has spent a lot of time in comic book shops, I did like the look of that set, but we barely see it, let alone use it. I also enjoyed Ethan's room, but blink and you miss it. Otherwise, the school and house were standard and forgettable, but, they did film on a real bus, so that's something.
Why are we here?
The story. In theory, I like it. In execution, I didn't. There are too many ideas going on for the runtime. If Uncas discovered the Grinner was real and vanished, then we don't need the whole microwave subplot. Just have Frankie give Ethan the comic, but make her more mysterious instead of an Uncas fangirl. That way we don't know if she's good or bad. Then, as Ethan reads the comic, fantasy and reality start to bleed together before Frankie reveals that Ethan is the one who can complete the story and stop the Grinner. And I stand by that the ending could have been filmed in live action, remained budget friendly, and still had that campy comic book feel. I mean, the final battle being filmed in still images, some of which were shown multiple times, was just boring.
We have only so much room in our minds. We mustn't seek to fill it with tripe.
The scares. Well, I guess that depends on where you land on clowns, but as a fan of Batman comics and the Joker, I didn't find this scary at all. Now, I'm sure a child might find the Grinner creepy or the prospect of their parents turning into giggling zombies with mouths full of blue goo unnerving, but it did nothing for me. I think the less is more approach would have worked better here. The bus scene is a prime example. Imagine, the kids are on the bus when it starts to drive erratically. We can only see the bus driver from the kid's perspective. He starts to giggle, softly at first, but it grows. Ethan heads up to investigate, moving slowly towards the driver. Just before he gets there, then the head spins around, revealing the situation. I think the scene would have been much more impactful that way. Anyway, younger me probably wouldn't have found this episode scary either, but it might have turned me off of comic books.
Got a big sale on Dust Boy.
The acting in this episode was fine. Ethan was a decent enough lead, but I feel he gets shortchanged since his big heroic moment is delivered via bad voiceover on still images. Hooper was great. Even if I don't care for her robotic, nerd, stereotyped character, she played the hell out of it.
Yeah.
The adult acting in this episode was also fine, though it did look like everyone had a good time. Ethan's parents and the science teacher were barely in the episode, but they do well playing obnoxious characters and all deliver solid Grinner goo performances. Frankie I did not care for at all, but I believe that comes down to the writing and direction, not the performance. I found her salesperson delivery of almost every line irritating, and the calling Ethan cakes didn't help. I think the Grinner did a good job, but it's hard to say since they did a lot of messing with the actor's voice in post.
Ghastly Grinner?
Betty Ann, I may be a fan of comics, but I am not a fan of this. The tale of the Ghastly Grinner does not meet the approval of the Midnight Society. The Midnight Society members poll on this one was, at the time of recording this video, 89% in favor of with 11% against, so it seems the Grinner got to everyone and I'm being outvoted. You win this time, Betty Ann, but I'll be back. Sorry. I want to thank the following Midnight Society members for participating in this video's poll. Sorry. Yeah, so I want to thank the following. I want to thank the. I don't know what I was thinking. I love this episode. I'm gonna go tell everyone. Names are on the screen. I'm not sure what just happened, but I think I'm okay now. What did you all think of Betty Ann's story? Did you see it as a kid? Would you accept an invitation to a comic book shop that looked like it was made by a serial stalker? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode on the tale of the fire ghost. Until then, are you afraid of the dark?
John, I'm making pizza waffles. You want one?
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you hate people that say smash that like button, then smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when more Midnight Society episodes go up. Thanks, everybody.